Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Old Brother with me, Paul Hanley.
And me, Steve Hanley.
You well, Steve?
I'm okay, yeah.
Good. Busy day? Busy
day.
times?
Oh, busy times,
Yeah. I don't know when this will go out, but we just finished the tour, haven't we?
Just finished the tour. 800 albums have just turned up to sign.
The pressure.
The pressure, yeah.
And then we're getting ready for June.
We are.
Which is very exciting.
Yeah.
And speaking of getting ready for June, again, which may well have happened by the time this goes out, but even so, what a great gig it was, and what a singer!
Yeah.
Fantastic he was on the night. He was absolutely brilliant, even though we haven't done it yet, but we're pretending that we have. And so we'll welcome him without further ado. BC Camplight.
Hey, fellas. Yeah, I was fantastic at the show.
You were brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I
thought hindsight's a great thing.
That thing where you climbed the PA and leapt off, I wasn't sure that was going to work.
Yeah, I'm still agile in my 40s.
Oh, so do we stick with BC for the or which name do you prefer on these such occasions?
Yeah, Brian's fine. Yeah.
Okay. And not that I ever use anybody's name, but you know, it just there could be a first. But right, so welcome to Old Brother. How are you? You've got well?
Yeah, I'm all right. Another beautiful day in Manchester. I think we've been trying to talk to each other for a while now, and then through technical glitches and other reasons, it's been delayed, but here we are.
Yeah. So okay. So I mean, we'll get to the point how you ended up in this place of godforsaken weather from the sunnier climes you come from. But so yes. When did you first start making music? Then when did you begin with that? I mean, I take it you were a music fan growing up.
Yeah, I was. It was quite weird. I don't come from a musical family whatsoever. I've still been like trying to genealogically figure out where I've come from because, no shade on my family, but I don't think that there's a hint of musical ability anywhere in my extended family tree. But when I was about 4 years old, apparently this is what my mom tells me. I was watching TV, and then I can't remember obviously what we were watching, but the da 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 came on some show we were watching.
So that's got different lyrics in America, hasn't it?
In America, yeah, it's called "My Country 'Tis of Thee."
Okay.
And just another thing we've ripped off of you guys.
We had it first.
Yeah, and apparently, as the family lore says, I walked over to the grand piano and I just started playing it at about 4 years old.
So you say there's no one musical, but you had a grand piano in your house.
I think maybe they just had the foresight that something was coming.
And the floor space, to be fair.
Yeah, and the floor space, yeah. And so I think they realized early on that it was something to maybe push me into a little bit. I think they realized quite a bit later after that it's quite literally the only thing I'm good at. So it's kind of all systems go from an early age.
Yeah. So what music were you into as a child then?
I loved Jerry Lee Lewis and Little Richard and all things kind of early rock and roll. My parents didn't have a very extensive record collection, but what they had was quite eclectic. There's lots of classical music and opera. And so, 30, 40 years later, if you listen to my records, it sounds like classical music and opera and 50s rock and roll. So it's kind of like,
what more do you want?
What more do you need?
Yeah. And in a sense, maybe I haven't grown very much artistically.
Well, you've all got great piano in common, haven't you? Little Richard, Jerry Lee, classical music and opera have all got great piano.
Yeah, that was it. I was never really drawn to the guitar. I mean, I do play guitar. I didn't start till I was like 13 or 14 there, but there was something about it. There's something about how I found to be able to have a conversation with the piano, and everything was just immediate. You hit that button and it makes a sound, and yeah, it just became my best friend for all these years. Even in go ahead.
Did you have piano lessons?
I did, but I was terrible. I was really bad. I started really young, probably like 6 or something like that. And it wasn't until many years later it was found that I'm massively dyslexic, and not in the kind of dyslexic where everyone on TikTok and Instagram is dyslexic these days. I mean, I have this thing where if I start to read something, my brain will interpret the end of the sentence before I've actually read it. So if I've read a thing that said I went to the store to get a sandwich, my brain would read, I've gone to the store to steal a newspaper or something. It just makes up its own stuff. So the same thing was happening with musical notes. I would get to 3 or 4 of them, and then they would just scramble.
Wow.
So I wasn't a good student at all. It was really confusing to the teacher because she could tell that I could really play, and I and I had a knack for it. It was actually my teacher bought me this book. I think it was called like the Golden Age of Rock and Roll or something. I remember the cover had a big boot smashing a piano, I guess trying to mimic Jerry Lee Lewis or something. And one of the first songs was Whole Lot of Shaking Going On, and I thought, oh God, my mom has that on record. So I listened to it and I just learned it.
Yeah.
And so when the teacher came back for my lesson, we put that up, and I played the whole thing. And I think I did it so kind of fast and confidently that she couldn't even tell that I wasn't really reading the notes. And then we would flip over to the next song, in a different book, which was Bach or something, and it may as well have been in a completely different language. So I learned quite early on that I needed to just rely on my ear and my creativity, and not worry about those little black dots.
So how's the reading going now? Have you conquered your dyslexia, or is it still?
I've given up long ago. I I have as we all do, a list of life things to get better at. But I've tried every which way. They even make these specific texts now that are supposed to be in a specific kind of color that tricks your brain into doing something. And
my wife's a teacher, and my daughter as well, and they have different coloured papers now for dyslexic people. It makes it easier to read on different.
Well, yeah, if that's the case, I haven't found the right color yet, because I haven't gotten any. If anything, I've gotten worse. But luckily, I've found myself in a career that more rewards the other things that I am good at.
Career where it's no hardship to not be able to read very well. Yeah, I think that's something. So when did you first start thinking about getting in a band?
Well, I started writing songs when I was about 18, and they were, and I can't stress this enough, terrible. Some of the worst songs I think ever written. I think the first thing I ever wrote was called "Raging for Your Love," and I still have this very kind of unpleasant memory of writing it at the family piano, same piano, and it was a gorgeous day, spring day, and I remember the window to the back garden was open, and my mom was hanging up laundry, and the birds were singing, and nice kind of gentle warm breeze blowing in, and it's just kind of feeling one with the earth. And I'm starting to figure out this song, and I got to the chorus and was kind of belting it out. Didn't really have the lyrics yet, but just belting out the melody. And I could see my mom out of the corner of my eye walking up to the window from the outside, and she just leans in and she goes, "Brian, can you stop?" And she said, quote, "That part's really annoying."
Okay. Well, you see, annoying's it's just, it's a thin line between annoying and catchy.
Yeah, I've been on both sides of that line for sure. So that was kind of how my songwriting started. But it wasn't until a few years.
"Raging for Your Love," and the annoying thing about it wasn't the title.
Yeah, it's not a great sign. But I played piano, like, in keyboards in a local band in Philadelphia, and I thought was really cool. I just watched them make records, and in the back of my mind, I was thinking, oh, I can do this, and just kind of waiting for my time to shine and all this stuff. And we recorded, it was in 2002 or 2003, we recorded an album with them in Philadelphia. And towards the end of the recording, I said to the producer, I'd like to make my own record. And in my memory, I remember the whole room kind of laughing at me, because at this point, I didn't have much evidence to support my decision to get into actual record making. And then I guess maybe 6 months later, I had saved up some money, and I think my family helped me a bit. And without having
It does
recorded anything,
It does
yeah,
sound like your family were very supportive of it all.
yeah, they were supportive.
Yeah. Well,
They, yeah,
criticism.
they didn't like it, but they were supportive of me.
Can you stop singing? That's really annoying. Isn't constructive criticism. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, some would argue it's better than telling me how great I am, only to find out that yeah. But then I just went in and I made my first record, my first BC Camplight record, when I was about 24. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, and it just kind of about halfway through the record, I just kind of realized, oh, geez, I might actually be good at this. So it wasn't really a kind of slow ramp up of years of demoing and things like that. I just kind of threw myself into the fire, and something clicked.
Were you playing everything on that, or did you have some help? Or
Yeah, I play everything on all of my records except for drums and strings. I've been kind of loosening the control grip a little bit in recent years, and getting kind of I had a guest singer come in, for Abigail from the last dinner party on my last record, and that was the first time I, quote, allowed someone to kind of ad lib a little bit, and put their own stamp on it, and it was much better for it. So I've learned my lesson there. But as far as the instrumentation on my records, I do like to have a bit of control over that. So and plus I spent all those years. Yeah.
How does that work when you play live then? Do you get really annoyed with the way people play your stuff? Or?
No, I guess because there's so much instrumentation on the albums, the live, well, it's very expensive to have so many people in the band. But I find it really important, as I know you both know very well, to get along with the people you're around, and to love them, and to like them, maybe more importantly.
Yeah.
So once that's established, if there's any kind of disagreements about how things should go, then people tend to take it a little bit more on the chin.
Okay.
Good for that. So how did it work then?
And sorry, just do they mind then, the musicians, that they've got to play something that's already written and all the parts are written?
Well, I think a couple of them they are no longer in the band. I don't know if those two things are connected. It's really, I mean, maybe I'm painting the wrong picture. I think everyone enjoys what they do, and there is loads of opportunities for the people to put their own flourishes in and things. But I think it's just not one of those kind of outfits where I come in with a loose idea and people fill in.
Yeah, I mean, there's no right and wrong answers to those things. No. Well, that was, how did you put your first band together? So you made your first record. How did that?
Yeah, I had just moved to Philadelphia from New Jersey, and this is like, going from South Jersey, where I'm from, to Philadelphia was like, it felt like moving to Hollywood or something, just, the big city. Mm-hmm. And I settled into this area called Fishtown, which was all the kind of weirdo artists and things. And I think it was the through the producer who did my first record, because I didn't know anybody. He said, "Oh, I know this guy and I know this guy and this gal," and I didn't have um, really any sense of kind of how to run a band or quality control or any of that stuff. So kind of I lucked out that I really did love the people I was with. I think we started off as like a 3-piece um, and then added a female singer into a 4-piece, and now we're depending on the show could be a 9-piece with horns and stuff. Um, yeah, so it's really being in a band and running a band is such a life lesson beyond music.
Yeah,
It's
of course. Yeah,
all
yeah.
the
I think
yeah.
it's really, the interpersonal relationships are pretty much almost as important as what you play, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, it sure is. And then when you're, the quote leader of the band, sometimes you feel like you're in this kind of Tony Soprano kind of position of needing to make everyone happy, but yeah, hey, don't walk over me, and um, making sure that people get the credit for the stuff that they do and feel appreciated, but also you don't want to run a ship where anything goes, and
Yeah.
so it's
See, we
yeah,
we wouldn't know anything about that.
No.
We've never been in that position.
Yeah. So yeah, that brings us nicely on. So when did you first hear about the Fall then?
I heard about the Fall all the time in Philly. So, all the cool kids had the Fall posters up and things, and
Yeah.
I don't know why, and I wish I had a better answer for this, but I feel like I kind of resisted the Fall. Not because I even heard the music yet, but it was I resisted getting into the Fall for years, well into when I moved to Manchester. And I think because maybe I was intimidated by um, don't know if it was the lore or just the volume of stuff.
Yeah, I can see that would
yeah.
be.
Yeah,
It's like
Yeah.
like committing to the West Wing or something, isn't it? How many?
yeah. If you
And I do remember it was quite a funny, very specific story of the moment when I kind of was violently introduced to the Fall was when I first moved to Manchester. I wasn't in a great place, kind of mentally or financially or anything, and I was living above a pub called Gulliver's.
Yes.
Yeah, and in the northern quarter, and I think they knew I was living there. I can't remember the details, but I was in some spare room upstairs with no furniture, and it was just an air mattress and kind of crisp packets everywhere. And
welcome to
I
my
was, yeah, that's my intro. And we had a big lock-in in the pub, and I went to bed, and there was a kind of local character called Mark Kennedy who was always chatting about the Fall and all things kind of Manchester. And he had something to do with the pub. I think he maybe used to own it or something, but for whatever reason, he had a key. And I went up to my room about 3 or 4 in the morning, and I was naked on an air mattress because it was about, you know, 30 degrees out for some reason. And he comes kicking in my door and playing Spoilt Victorian Child. Um, and I was scared shitless. It was quite a way to be introduced to something. And I remember I kind of screamed in that kind of way where somebody wakes you up when you're having a nightmare. And he kind of fell on the floor laughing. But I just, from that moment on, I couldn't get that song out of my head. And then,
I'm not sure that's a good.
no.
yeah, and then just started, diving in a little bit more deeply. But it's the kind of thing. It's like I said, especially being in this town, I think the hesitancy is because you just assume everyone is a historian, and in these kind of like music bars, and if you talk to 10 people at a bar about the Fall, you risk you risk that, maybe 1 out of 10 of them may have actually been in the band. So,
No.
So we must get you to Manchester, so because we left you just in Philly.
yeah.
So then what happened next? So you made lots of pretty successful records with various people.
Yeah, well, I did my first two records my first record that came out in 2005 in the States was kind of like, oh, here's the new guy, to keep an eye on. And I was a very weird guy, still am. And my second record was just extremely strange and didn't do very well at all. The only people that really played it, I should say the only person that really played it was Mark Riley over here, who loved it. So my profile in America just did not grow, and I had I was really into getting into my drinking and drugs and stuff, and I was I think also at this point, for whatever reason, even though I hadn't really accomplished anything, I just felt this kind of like entitlement, like, why isn't this happening for me, and this is happening for this person and that person, and I just was deluding myself that playing these 2 bars in Philadelphia once every 4 months was enough, and someone was going to see me, and all, and it was all going to be okay. And it just, the years went by, and by 2012 or so, just still nothing had happened, and I hadn't put out a record in 5 years, and I was kind of known as the session guy, session
I was going to say
pianist.
that because obviously you've got the ability to play on other people's sessions. Is that what you lived on?
Yeah, I mean, living's a pretty
You've already
strong
established
term.
much in the way of creature comforts, do you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I certainly didn't have those. And so yeah, I played. I think the first bigger record I played on was Sharon Van Etten, which did pretty well. And then there's a band that's massive now called The War on Drugs, and they were they were BC Camplight. They were the BC Camplight live band.
Okay.
And when they kind of started to get more popular, I played with them. And then all of a sudden they were just kind of massive.
Yeah.
And I had stopped playing with them for various reasons. And I think I was just
Name of the band
laying
to do with the fact that what they called when you weren't playing with you, that wasn't anything to do with you, was it? The fact that they were
yeah, who knows? That'll be a podcast with them on. But they I remember I was it feels like there's a theme going here, but I was laying on an air mattress in an abandoned church in Philadelphia, and I was just like, I can't go out like this, and the only thing I could think is that the only place on earth that I'm having any kind of success and people seem to like me at all is the UK. So I started calling around to different, like, kind of journalists. And I remembered that when I toured the UK on my records, that when I came to Manchester, it seemed to be the only place where I really had a good time. There may have only been 20 people at the show, but they would take me out afterwards, and it just seemed like an absolute whale of a time. And I didn't really have anything much else to go on, and I knew I couldn't afford to move to London, so I got a hold of this journalist called Mark Powell, who was he wrote for a paper in Manchester, and he just said, just come over, I'll find you, you could stay with my friend who's looking for a flatmate. And I had literally nothing to lose, so it may even been within the week I had showed up, with not much of a plan other than to just try to make great music. And it, there was lots of other chapters in there about being deported and banned from the country and all that stuff. That's that's a whole other thing. But largely, it worked. That first year that I was here, I met loads of my friends that I'm still great friends with today, and bandmates. And I couldn't really get over how much the city clicked with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, it's not to be hyperbolic, but it saved my life. I mean, I was in a really, really dark place, and it just picked me up by my bootstraps and supported me, and still does. And um, yeah, I get a little bit emo even recalling it.
Wow. So you came over here and then you were deported. How did that work?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was here for a couple of years, and I was having again a little bit of a lock-in at the back of the Castle Hotel pub on Oldham Street,
You ever go anywhere
which
else
is
but Oldham Street?
You're not
Like?
been-
not in those days, man. That was my world. And I had like a little bit of an accident in the back garden where I stepped on something really sharp, and I ended up in hospital with like a very bad leg infection that
Yes.
that made me I couldn't walk for months. And while I was in the hospital, my visa was running out,
Okay.
so I had all my doctors write to the Home Office, and at that point it was Theresa May making all the decisions, and they said Brian really shouldn't fly. He should renew his visa from here, and all this documentation. I wasn't trying to hide from anybody, and
You weren't
maybe a
trying
month
to
or two. No, no.
Well,
And about maybe 2 months later, I got a letter back that was signed by Theresa May, and it says, we understand that your doctors say that you shouldn't fly. We don't see any evidence here that you couldn't fly. So you're
hang on.
hereby deported.
Same
Yeah,
thing, isn't it?
if the
I don't
doctor
think legally. I think I think it's like, I shouldn't eat that fourth sandwich, but I probably could. I think that's maybe that her
Okay.
Okay.
her reasoning. So yeah, I was deported, and I was banned from ever coming. Well, not ever, but I was banned from coming back into the country. And once I was back home in New Jersey, somebody just jokingly said, my dad said to me, "Well, why don't you just become an Italian citizen? Um, our family's Italian." And I thought, it can't be that easy.
That's
Turns out,
crazy, isn't it?
yeah, it turns out it's that easy.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so I became an Italian, and that's how I got back here. So technically, I guess like half of me is still illegal. Half of me is still banned.
We need to edit this for.
Theresa May.
Yeah. She's a big fan
Yeah.
of the podcast, Theresa May. Big fall fan.
So it's been quite a ride to stay here, but I'm hoping it just shows demonstrates my dedication to this city.
Yeah. So how's the leg now?
Well, it's doing all right up until my last tour. It happened again,
Yeah,
the same exact thing. So I did this whole, it was our first time on a sleeper bus, about 4 or 5 months ago, and it just came back out of nowhere, and I couldn't walk again. And so I've been just looking forward to this, being able to play these big places for so long. I mean, played the Apollo, and um, what's that? The Roundhouse in London, and these big shows, and I did the whole thing, not being able to walk. So thankfully I'm sat behind a piano,
Yeah.
but feeling much better now.
Oh, good. Good. I was going to ask you about playing the piano. When you first started in a band, it must have been a pain in the arse to have to lug a piano. It's only beaten by lugging a drum kit everywhere.
Yeah, I used to tour with a Rhodes, like a
Oh, man.
73 Fender Rhodes,
Yeah.
and
Anyway,
there's still a part of me that, yeah, when I see them now, if I'm in a studio or something and I see it, I get like a little shiver down my spine. Just going, God.
How did I do
But
that?
yeah, it's not necessarily fun, and I didn't have roadies for about the first 22 years of my career, so it was a bit of a slow burn.
45 of mine.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, now luckily I have a nice little sponsorship with Roland, and they take care of all the piano stuff.
Good.
Um, but yeah, I wouldn't trade my situation for the world now.
Great. Yeah. So, how did you find it making records over here compared to making it in the US? Studios different? Same?
Well, there's a town called Bredbury outside of Manchester that has an old vicarage. That's this massive kind of vicarage with 10 different rooms of all vintage gear, stuff that they took from the BBC, stuff that the BBC was throwing out. And it was my first experience living at a place and making a record. And it took me 2 years. And I someday just wanted to write like a small book about just making my first Manchester record, because it was quite insane. Just I had this very interesting relationship with the engineer there, who really pushed me to become like the producer of the albums, which I now produce my own albums now. And we just would try the most ridiculous things that would waste a month and a half and then just not end up using them. And just these kind of we had this idea that, hey man, like I feel like the vibe of the vocals isn't really good in here. Let's do the vocals in the camper van out in the parking lot. So we'd spend 2 days trying to get the cabling out there, and then I laid on the floor of the camper van. I did the whole vocals for the record and came in the next day, and I remember just thinking, you know what, these vocals, they're much worse than the ones that we did in them. So it was basically, it was 2 years of that.
So you're with Bella Union record.
Yeah.
Quite patient with all that.
Well, I've done, so I've been with them 10 years, and I've given them 5 records. So I like the production output's been pretty decent. I've been an absolute pain in the ass for them. I know this. I know that Simon probably regards me as a bit of the kind of the troubled child of the group. Just because, yeah.
I take it you weren't paying for that studio by the hour.
No. I think I was at the point with my first record where I was, signing away 5% of publishing points to be able to stay another week and stuff like that. So by the time the record came out, I don't think I owned anything, but it was worth it, and it was the last one I did there, but it was definitely something I'll remember forever. I do all my records now in Liverpool, at a place that's just kind of a windowless room with lots of nice stuff, and the engineer just basically lets me do whatever I want, and I'm a bit more on schedule, and not wasting too much time there. And it's really worked this far, and I'm about to start another one this summer. For the past 2 records, I keep telling everyone it's my last one, just because how stressful this business is, and I've been getting more and more into film, and
because it's a lot of responsibility then, because you're kind of everything, aren't you? I take it you manage yourself as well, do you?
Well, sometimes I wish I did. No. How many people does this go out to? No, I love my manager, but there certainly are a lot of people to pay these days, aren't there? So yeah, it's a whole, and I don't write records, it seems, unless there's something kind of really emotionally pushing me to do it. And so in COVID, I did a record that was largely inspired by my dad's passing. Then I had my fiance left me, and I put out a record called The Last Rotation of Earth, which was kind of a way of configuring that. And the last record I just put out has some pretty horrific themes. So I'm trying to find a way to be able to approach a record without ending up in therapy. So that's where I am now, really.
So yeah, so that's what motivates you to make a record. So, do you write all the time, or do you think I've got to make a record, I better start writing?
Yeah, I'm not one of these guys that's like you see at a party with an acoustic guitar being like, I got this new idea, man. Like I'm not like that. I don't know if it's the ADHD or whatever, but my records seem to come to me in like kind of this nuclear moment where I can't stop, and it is usually a month before I have to do it contractually.
Because I don't know how you manage it. I mean, I know there's some brilliant records made that way with open-ended recording, but it's for me, I don't know how you ever know when you're done. If because the way we record now with House of All, we get a limited amount of time, and then the record becomes a record of what we were able to do in that time, and then it's a document of that. So you have 3 days, and the record becomes a document of what you can do in 3 days. If you've got forever to make a record, how do you know when that? I'm just going to overdub that hi-hat one more time. How do you ever stop?
It's maddening, and I think sometimes with unlimited time, you just have way more time to make something worse. And
that's my big fear with recording.
And that
you could end up running cables out to a camper van and doing vocal stupid things like that.
Exactly. So my first introduction to having this unlimited time, I made a lot of things worse. So I kind of made a decision to try to come to terms with the art form of knowing when something is good, and moving on. Because it obviously saves a lot of time and mental energy and money. But it's definitely something to be conscious of. And it's just like the same with, if you're talking about Pro Tools and all the unlimited capabilities of that versus like, let's just get it to tape and that's the song. Like there's all sorts of reasons in art for limitations to actually be something that you should really grab onto. So it's definitely a balance. But I think a lot of my records get a bit kind of opulent and lots of string arrangements and things. So it's really easy to fall into that trap of just one more day.
Yeah, and how do you not then? Well, how do you do it?
Well, I think it's just a lot of practice of having to really be honest with yourself and saying, am I doing this because I'm making the song better, or am I doing this to show off? Am I doing this? If I played this to Joe Blow on the street, would he know any difference that there's a second piccolo now? So you have to, it's a lot about the letting go of your ego and making sure that the song is the star and that it's not really about you.
Well, it's quite impressive that you could do that yourself, because a lot of people would be tempted to bring somebody in to say, take that second piccolo off.
Well, I've the more that my career goes on, the more I see myself as a producer and less as anything else, really. And while putting that hat on, I think one of the things I've learned to do is be just really bossy with myself.
Yeah.
Where I would.
Have you got plans to produce other people?
Yeah, I've been producing people all through the summer, and I have 6 or 7 bands that I'm producing in the autumn. Because, like I said, when I finished the tour of my,
how long you know?
You didn't say the fall. You didn't say. You said autumn.
Yeah, damn. Back it up. When I finished my last record, I thought, right, I really need some time away from BC Camplight, and I get a lot of requests to produce other people's stuff, and I just didn't have the mental bandwidth to do it. And now that I've committed myself to producing all these bands, I keep thinking, God damn, I miss BC Camplight. Like I just want to get back in there. So now I can't.
Much better singer.
Yeah. I can't seem to get the balance right, but I certainly have a full schedule, and in this economy, that's nothing to complain about.
No, that's definitely, yeah. And then how? So did you put a band together from over here? I take it you're not shipping musicians over from the US when you play live.
No, they're all just really good friends here.
Yeah.
Really, I've had the same drummer, Adam Dawson, for like 12 years now, and there is a bit of a revolving cast. I know you guys don't know anything about that, but it's a there's a probably kind of the synth and guitar players just maybe a year or two into the group, and my partner at the time, Jess, was the guitar player, and we've kind of split up recently, so there'll obviously be a change there. But it's all people that just kind of have a big part in my life. People I was friends with, and then asked them to join, because you got to spend so much time with these people.
Yeah.
And it's just and if you're going to do that, you want them to be family,
You're not worried about losing them as friends after spending 6 months in a split a bus with you, or a sleeper bus.
I'm for as controlling as I can be in the studio. I feel like I make up for it by how affable I am as a friend and like and human. So I'm hoping they have kind words to say about me. But I kind of once I leave the rehearsal studio doors, that's kind of where my controlling nature ends.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll find out about that, won't we?
We'll find out about that next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can say what it's about now, because this, as I say, the gig will have probably happened by the time this goes out. Well, it will have happened by the time it goes. So us doing fall cover versions, not cover versions of the fall, cover versions that the fall did, which would be quite interesting, I think. So it'd be interesting how you're going to approach it, because do you do Mark's version, or you do the original, or do you do BC Camplight's version?
I said to a couple people when I was so kindly asked to do this, I thought I couldn't, think if you had to draw up a more opposite person than Marky Smith, a 6'3" guy built like a rugby player has an American accent. I thought you couldn't go more like away from that. And then one of my friends said, "That's very The Fall."
Yeah.
So I think the last thing that anybody would want to see is, especially as revered as The Fall is to have me trying to do some kind of emulation of.
Well, that's why we came to you, because we knew you wouldn't.
Yeah. So I plan on being me, and if hopefully the audience will appreciate that I have too much respect for the fall to try to do any kind of copycatting. So I'm just going to be BC Camplight, and hopefully it doesn't turn anyone off.
I'm sure it won't. I mean, if you did want to do a Mark impression, there is the Fallen Women on the Sunday, where people get up fall karaoke, so you can do that if you like.
Oh, right, yeah, stick around. So what day are we on? Or what day were we on?
What day? We played the Friday, if you recall.
I do, yeah. I get my days mixed up.
Yeah. But
I'm so blown away that I'm blown away that I was even asked to do it in the first place. I don't even remember how it happened, really. Can you enlighten me?
It was my idea.
Well, yes,
it was my idea.
All right.
So we had an open slot for Friday, and your name was the first on the piece of paper. So
okay, well, that's easy enough. That was Mr. Riley involved in that at all?
No, well, he was
directly.
Not directly, no.
Just
yeah. Oh, very good.
He's the connection.
Yeah.
Between the two of us. Yeah. I don't think he suggested.
I mean, he had been so helpful with this thing they were putting on.
Oh yeah. It's a big part of that. Yeah,
it's massive. He's done so much for it. But this, I don't think he was directly.
Well, we did ask him to play, but he turned us down, didn't he?
He said, "Not with that singer."
I did ask him. I said, "Hey, are you?" I asked if he was joining us, and he kind of said, "No, I will be unable to join." I kind of wanted to pry, but I thought that would help.
We begged, we pleaded, and in the end, he agreed not to do it.
Yeah, I like I said, this is it's a real kind of honor to be asked, and I think the most genuine thing I can do is just to go out there and be me.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, on that note, I think we'll say thank you very much. It was really great to talk to you.
Really.
And
Yeah, thanks so much.
we're looking forward to rehearsals.
You're looking backwards to rehearsals.
I'm looking backwards to us. It really is playing with my head. This.
Yeah. No, I can't wait. Thanks so much for
right,
having me. Really appreciate it.
See you, man. See you Monday.
Take care. Bye-bye. See ya.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Old Brother. You can find all our previous episodes on Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoyed this, please give us a like and tell your friends about us. Episodes released every second Friday, so watch for another in 2 weeks. See you next time, and remember, if you're driving, take your car. Ta-da!